So today we're going to talk about one of the 4 essential skills of putting, and that is starting the ball on your intended line. Now we need to be able to read the putt and be able to hit it the correct speed, but starting it on your intended line is what is going to help you make more putts on the golf course. A little trick I like to use is just grab one of these flat ball markers. You might be able to find them at your golf course. And I'm going to put it a little bit out in front of my golf ball here. This is a straight putt. But you can do this on a breaking putt as well, maybe a longer one, and just put the ball marker maybe 18 inches or so in front of your golf ball on the line that you want the ball to roll. And then we're going to get the ball to roll over that ball marker toward the hole. So I'm just going to tap it down there. And my goal is to line up toward that spot about 18 inches in front of my golf ball and see the ball roll over that spot as it starts rolling away from me. I've also got my trusty little 2-colored golf ball here, and so if we hit a great putt with the square putter face, the ball is going to roll end over end and the colors won't wobble. So that's another thing I'm looking for here, is just that I'm getting that putter face back to square and that I'm starting that ball on my line. Yeah, so as you can see, that ball rolls nicely over that mark. Those colors stay pretty even, and this is going to help you make more putts out on the golf course.
Chris Como here, and we're talking putting. And there's a particular fault that I see a lot with recreational golfers, and that's taking too short of a backswing and then a really long follow through. And it just messes up their overall acceleration profile with their stroke, makes distance control very difficult, speed control very difficult, face control difficult, just not ideal for really starting the ball in line and hitting at the correct speed. Now, to get yourself out of that, we're going to create a little bit of a station. I got a coin here just to mark where the ball is, and then I put a tee about as far as I think the backstroke will go, maybe a little bit farther to give myself a little bit of room. I definitely want to make sure that on the backstroke, especially if I have that fault for a short backswing to a longer fall through, I want to make sure that I have enough room to make a long enough backstroke, but then in the fall through, keep it on the shorter side. So I'm basically trying to flip that relationship. A little bit of a longer backswing, a little bit of a shorter fall through. I made the fall through to where it's the same width as the putter head. It's like a big gate for the ball to go through. So that way, if I do go too long, I can actually hit the tee. It can give me some immediate feedback, but it's not getting in the way of where the ball would roll. Okay, so I'm gonna set up to it, and I'm going to try to make this longer backstroke and a slightly shorter fall through. Ooh. That was a stroke right there. I went right past it. I didn't quite hit the tee. Maybe they could have been a little bit higher, but I could see the putter go right over it. So that's a stroke we don't right there. Short backswing, sort of an over-accelerated, too long of a fall through. So we're gonna try and reverse this. I'm gonna make a much longer backswing stroke and a much shorter fall through. Oops, put it right there. Ooh, that was even too long. So you got that feedback right there. It's perfect. And that felt totally different, really solid. That's the overall stroke you want. Maybe a little exaggerated, but that's okay. We're trying to work out of a fault. Now, Bubba Watson would hit balls on the green where you would actually have the ball very close, the tees a little bit closer together than this, but where it would actually stop the putter head in the fall through. I've seen a lot of golfers do that. It can be a great drill to possibly exaggerate the feel, but in a conversation with, in my mind, one of the best putting coaches in the world, John Graham, his opinion is like, well, it's not quite really what happens, because the tees are actually stopping the head, sort of maybe artificially stopping it in a sense, giving you an artificial feel, and it doesn't translate as well onto a putting green or onto the course as if you have the tees farther forward and you're just visually seeing it as reference, but making sure that you're the one stopping it a little bit shorter, not the tee colliding and interfering with the club head trajectory. So you can try both variations. The other one maybe is a good sort of like just to shock your system a bit, but eventually you want to graduate to one where the tees are far enough forward and you're not actually hitting it, but you're taking a big enough of a stroke and then making sure in that fall through the club head decelerates to where the fall through is not longer than the backstroke. Approximately the same length back and through, but if anything, let's try to err on the side of a slightly shorter fall through, especially if you fall into that category of having the fault of a short backswing and too long of a fall through. Try that out next time you're practicing. I think it's going to really help your putting.
I'm Clay Ballard, and if you splatter the paint, it's going to be very difficult to make very many putts. So what I'm talking about here is your putting stroke should be just like a paintbrush stroke. Let me get down here a second and talk about exactly what I mean. So I'm going to imagine that this brush is actually my putter head. And when I'm hitting this putt, what I want to feel like I'm doing is, just imagine this is just coated with paint. It's dripping off the paintbrush. I want to create a very even brush stroke leading into this golf ball. So I'm going to go ahead and paint a nice clean line going into this putt straight toward the hole. And right as I'm coming into contact, I actually want the brush just to lift up slightly and get a little bit of top spin so that ball rolls end over end and tracks right into the cup. That's how the pros get the ball to almost suction cup to the green and just roll perfectly smooth the entire way. This is the motion that they're making. If you get tight, if you get rigid with your hands, you try to hit at the putt, you're going to splatter some of that paint. The idea of having this paintbrush is exactly what you should have before you make this stroke. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and do this exact same thing with my putter head now, to where I'll just go ahead and let the putter rest on the ground, and I'm going to make 3 or 4 strokes inside my ball here. So I'm brushing the grass very smooth, and then as I'm making contact, I'm hitting slightly up on this putt. You'll notice how, just like with the paintbrush, my handle is leading in front of my club head. So I'm never letting the club pass my hands until after contact. So I've done 3 or 4 of those brush strokes. The only thing I'm going to do different when I hit a putt now is to feel like I miss the ground slightly. I don't want to actually touch the ground on my forward stroke. But the idea inside of my mind is exactly the same. Now I'm not going to make all these. We'll see how good I can do with feeling like I'm doing a paintbrush stroke during the putt. A little bit low on that one. If I can make 2 out of 3 of these, I'd be doing fantastic. Pros are only making about 30% from here, and I'd be happy to do the same. So again, the paintbrush stroke, lipped out right edge, lipped out left edge. Let's see if we can make this third one. There we go. Smooth out your stroke, just like a paintbrush. You're gonna make a lot more putts.
This really is a priceless piece of information. It's far more than a tip. A while ago, after his 2019 victory at the Masters, I had the chance to talk to Tiger Woods about his putting. Would you like to know what he told me? Yes, I thought you might. Anyway, so I asked him why he practiced putting with his right hand. What is it for? What does it do? And Tiger said, look, if you tend to push putts, this is Tiger's conversation with Martin, if you tend to leave putts to the right, he likes the feeling of releasing the putter. Now, releasing the putter by Tiger's definition is the toe must go. There's a little bit of rotation in the face. Tiger Woods is not someone who tries to keep the club face absolutely square and perpendicular to the line as he goes back and as he comes through, and there's no turning and there's no twisting. Not at all. Tiger Woods has some face rotation during the stroke. And he said to me, look, I've always done it since I was a kid. I said, was it a dad thing? No, it was me when I was about 4. I just liked the feeling of letting the toe go over the ball when I'm putting with the right hand. I said, well, what about the left hand? He said, as far as I'm concerned, the left hand may as well not even be on the club. That was his thought on the left hand. Now, if you push putts, Tiger Woods thought of being a very right-handed stroke. Tiger's thought of letting the toe go. Tiger's thought of feeling like you hook the putt slightly would be for you. It is a releasing type stroke. It's definitely a release stroke. There are those that putt and push and put the hands forward. This is not a drill for you, but for most people need to let the toe go. As I've taught my juniors after my conversation with Tiger, the toe must go. That's what I say. The toe must go through the hitting area for you to be able to hit the ball freely on the greens. Tiger Woods practiced putting with his right hand, has done for years, I'm sure he will do, and just getting the feeling of putting just with your right hand and letting the toe go through the hitting area will give you a really good feel for what Tiger calls releasing the putt. Now, the reason I think you should do that is it'll probably help you putt better.
I'm Amy Cho. When you are putting, the putting grip is so important because your hands are placed differently on the putter grip, and also your wrists move way different than in your full swing. So let's focus on the putting grip today, shall we? So let's start with looking at your left hand. Find that lifeline on your left hand. That is going to match the edge of your putting grip on the left right there, and you're gonna place that lifeline on the edge. Now the thumb is resting on that flat part of the grip, nice and straight down on it. And now the right hand, find that lifeline again. Now instead of the grip, edge of the grip, it's gonna go on the edge of your left thumb. Boom. So both the thumbs are going straight down on the flat part of the grip. Let's go ahead and take a look at your fingers on the other side. So this is a normal overlap for an iron shot. You grip it this way so you can grip it more in the fingers, and you can do a lot of hinging, unhinging this way. But with the putter, you really want to keep your wrist very quiet and not be hinging and moving around. So you really want to do a reverse overlap. This is the most typical way a lot of pros use. Traditional reverse overlap, you're gonna lift your pinky and your index finger and reverse it so your left index is covering the right pinky and the fourth finger like so. And gripping it down your lifelines and reverse overlap is really going to have you gripping it more in the palms instead of fingers like you do in full swings. When you have it in the palms, obviously, this is going to keep your wrist nice and firm without putting a lot of pressure in your fingers, okay? So grip pressure, you want to imagine like you're holding a banana. So you're holding it so you're not dropping it, losing it out of your hand, but not too tight to the point where you're going to squish the banana. It's going to be inaudible, right? All right, so you're holding a banana, and here's a secret tip again. All right, you want to really get those elbows in the correct spot to help you to keep your wrist nice and firm so they're not wobbling around, and keep your fingers nice and relaxed. Let me show you how that's done. Instead of letting the elbows pointing outward, you want to rotate your elbows ever so slightly inwards this way. That's really going to help pinch your armpits right there, and that's going to anchor your triangle to stay really steady like this. Rotating those elbows inward is really going to help you to keep your wrist nice and firm and steady, and your grip pressure nice and relaxed, and you're going to have a beautiful stroke rocking your shoulders like this without too many moving parts. If you're looking to improve your putting, then you want to check out your putting grip, see if you're doing it correctly. Remember the lifelines, and also keeping that nice and firm wrist by rotating your elbows inwards, and remember, banana in your hand.
Clay Ballard, and I've got the absolute best putting drill that I've ever seen on this one. If you do it every single day, it only takes about 7 minutes, you're gonna be a great putter. It's really that simple. If you don't do this every day, hey, you're on your own. Best of luck to you. So this is a drill called landmines, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take 5 golf balls in my hand, and I'm also gonna be putting 5 golf balls. I like to start out around, say, 12 feet. Now these landmines I'm going to put around the hole, and the objective of this game is to avoid these landmines. If I hit any of these landmines, it's a 1-stroke penalty. On top of that, when I hit this ball, after it comes to rest, it becomes a new landmine. So at the end of this, when I'm hitting my 9th ball, there's going to be, or my 10th ball, there's going to be 9 landmines out there that I have to avoid. So this drill is so important because it's not only going to work on your speed control, because I've got to leave it exactly in the gaps. It's also going to work on your directional control. If I pull it or push it a little bit, I could easily bounce off a landmine here. So I'm going to start by putting this first one. I'm going to pretend like I hit it a little bit short there so I can kind of jam up the hole slightly. And now when I'm looking at this, I'm starting to get, most of my gaps are getting kind of filled in with golf balls. So let's imagine I hit another one here and I left it just a tiny bit short. I was trying to hit it more like that. Now from here, I can't make this putt anymore. The hole is blocked, short left is blocked, kind of on the right side is blocked, and now I got to get really precise to where I need to leave this golf ball through this gap here, and I'm going to try to leave it over here where there's a straight shot to the hole. Now, it's so important to get your speed right when you're doing this. You see, if I hit that too far, now all of a sudden I'm going to have a 5 or a 6 footer coming back. If I hit it too short and leave it inside these golf balls, I may jam up some of these golf balls, and I'm going to cost myself extra strokes. So to keep your speed really, really tight, you want to have the right tempo. One of the best drills for speed is to imagine your stroke like a pendulum. So go ahead and swing this putter from your fingers a few times, and notice how smooth this putter is in the transition. Gravity is actually going to start this putter in the transition, and that's why it's so smooth. Watch the guys on TV, watch those PGA Tour players. That's the same pace that their putting stroke is. Now once gravity starts it, I'm just going to apply a nice little even pressure all the way through so I accelerate through the golf ball, but I never feel like I'm jerky at all. I feel like this thing is just swinging from my fingertips. Let's go ahead and try that one out. And I left that one about exactly where I wanted to, away from all the other golf balls. So I putt all 5 of these from here. I try to avoid all the landmines, and if I can make all 10 of these balls in the hole in less than 20 putts, I'm doing pretty daggone good. So the next piece is direction. If you get your speed right, you still have to get in these gaps. If you start ping-ponging between these golf balls, if it hits 3 golf balls, that's 3 penalty strokes. So now I might have to thread the needle. Let's say I'm going to putt this one here, and I'm actually going to go in this gap and try to end up somewhere over here. I have found that players have great directional control with their right hand. Being a right-handed player, just switch it around if you're left-handed, but if you're a right-handed putter, the palm of your right hand has a lot of touch and a lot of feel. I can tell if my palm is slightly open or my palm is slightly closed coming through. The palm of your hand and your right fingertips is almost an extension of that putter face. And I'm going to let my palm guide the direction that I'm going to hit this putt. So when I make this putt, I'm going to feel like my palm is rolling the ball, and I'm going to pause at the finish and have my palm feeling like it's pointing the direction that I want it to end up. So here I'm going to try to thread that needle there between those 2 golf balls and give myself an open putt. Oh, and I barely pulled a little bit, hit a landmine. That's the way it goes. You're going to hit a couple of these because you have to be that precise. So let's get all these balls up here and let's pretend like I'm putting out. This would be a great example of what would happen a lot of times. You're hitting a ball and part of the hole is blocked out by the putt. There's also other landmines over here. That's why this game is so daggone good, because it really gets you super precise and your speed control has to be perfect. So here I can't just whack away at it, or if I miss, I'm going to hit some other golf balls. So I'm barely hitting it to where it's barely going to die in the cup, and I've done exactly what I need to do. Now, the big point with this is not the technique. I can do 1,000 videos on putting technique. It really comes down to doing the right drills. If you do this drill, it's going to make you better at golf. It's that simple. Take 7 minutes out of your day to do this drill, and you're going to make a whole lot more putts, and on top of that, you're going to eliminate almost all of your 3 putts.
It's Chris Como here, and we're talking putting, and one of the most important aspects in putting is hitting a putt the right speed. Now, what is the right speed? Is the right speed a foot past the hole, 17 inches past the hole, 2 feet past the hole? It's all the above. The right speed is making sure that you hit a putt the speed that you're trying to hit it at. And a great skill that many of the best putters in the world on the PGA Tour have is the ability to hit a putt of the same length, different speeds, but hit it the speed that they're intending to hit it, having that sort of control over the different speeds. So this putt we have right here, it's about 10 feet. It's a slight breaking putt right to left. There's a couple different speeds we can make this putt at. We can die it in the hole, we can hit it much firmer, and each of the speeds will have different lines respectively. So what I want you to do as an exercise is to start to really visualize putts and try to see them at the different speeds they can be made at. So it's almost like the overall kind of track, or the, people call it the sort of the hurricane trail that a ball can go into the hole in. So you're going to have your dying speed, which will be a higher line, and you're going to have a firmer speed, which would be a lower line, and then you're going to have more of your baseline speed. We'll call it a foot past the hole, whatever it is, as again your baseline speed. So what I want you to do as an exercise, this is a drill that one of the best putting coaches in the world, John Graham, taught me. And basically you're going to visualize the break, and I'm going to visualize my sort of high dying line, and then I'm going to visualize a lower firm line. And I'm going to try to put 2 coins in a place about 2 feet out or so, 3 feet out, where I think this ball can go through and make it on all these lines. So, and I'm going to try and keep it about 6 inches apart. So my firm line, that's too high. My firm line is going to be the bottom coin just inside of that. And my dying line is going to be inside that top coin, or the high coin. This might be too high too, but this is the exercise. It really gets your brain working and trying to visualize and getting a sense of what are all the different lines I can make this at. I'm gonna go with this one though. So I'm gonna try to get it just inside, well, we'll go high first. I'm gonna try and get it just inside that high coin for my dying speed. Ooh, that was pretty good. So that barely made inside the high coin, and it had a very sort of dying speed coming into it. And now on the lower one, I'm gonna try to hit it firmer and just really just keep inside that low coin. Ooh, I pulled it. That was an aggressive speed. I pulled it a little bit. I actually probably hit a little bit firmer than I wanted to. But you get the idea. Now I'm going to do one that's more of a baseline speed, which for me, it's about a foot past the hole. That was pretty good speed. Again, maybe took a little bit too low of a line. That's not the point. The point is to really get yourself working and to see this ball going in at different speeds, putting coins down, making yourself pick a whole range of lines for the different speeds you can potentially hit it at, and do that exercise, and your brain starts to really start to take shape and have that visualization of seeing these different lines. It's a great exercise. Again, the best putters I know have this ability to make a putt of the same length, in this instance 10 feet, have that ability to make a putt of the same length at a variety of different speeds and a variety of different lines. Awesome drill, awesome little game you can play with yourself to really sort of cultivate that skill set of seeing different lines at different speeds from a given distance.